Hey guys, welcome to the You Fixed It channel, where I'll be mainly making videos about auto body repair. I will try to cover all of the aspects of the repair, start to finish, and I'm sure sometimes I'll throw something different into the mix just to make things a little bit more interesting. Let's go. So the video is going to be about fixing this 2009 Mazda Speed3. So this is what we got. This is my Speed. All of these videos are going to be about how to fix stuff in your driveway. You don't even have to have a garage. I have a garage, however, it's full of junk, so nothing's being fixed inside. Everything's being worked on right at my driveway, so everyone can do it. This is my personal car, and what happened was 2.5 months ago, some asshole decided it'd be a great idea to take it on the joyride. Anyways, it was stolen, and the reason I have this burgundy door on is because, well, this is my original door right here. The car kind of got wrapped around a, well, let's see if you can get a better view. Yeah, you see that? You see how it's concave? So that got pushed in because, yeah, he partially wrapped this car around a pole at the gas station. All of this metal was, I'd say right about here, everything was smushed in. I was thinking about making this video earlier to make it more complete. However, I didn't. I kind of got caught up in a moment and forgot to make a video. Anyways, let me just explain everything step by step. The reason why seats are out is so I could get access to measuring points. For example, this little hole right here. You can measure from that point. There's same exact hole in the same exact spot on the other side. The way it works is cars are split exactly down the middle, and I bet you anything, right under this sticker right here, there's a hole. Yep, that is a dead center of a car. So you could measure from here to just about any point out, but I chose to use that hole right in there and this hole to make sure that I make my pull thoroughly and I'm out to, well, the metal's out exactly where it's supposed to be. So in order to do that, I built a measuring gauge. So I'll show you how this thing works. So if you're working on something that is in the back of the car, you want to kind of have your back seats out so that way you have access to measuring points. And if you were working on a B-pillars, you know, if you had a side impact, then you would want to have your front seats out. Just, you know, for the same reason, because there's going to be measuring points throughout the car, and then there's not just these ones, but there's multiples. You can use these bolts as a point of reference. You know, you can just kind of set the measuring gauge up on the top, right there, and then there's a divot inside of that bolt. You can kind of see it, and then you can put the rod in, and then boom, it kind of stays. I'm tugging it side to side, but it's staying. Anyways, I don't know if you can see it, the other side. Putting it in that. Well, yeah, you can kind of see it. All right, this side. Loosen this guy up so I can slide this gauge. So, and then what I do is put it right on the very edge, right here. So, and then kind of choose a point. But you got to make sure that you hit the same point on the other side. So, for example, okay, there's some sort of a tab right here. And there's nothing above it, but it's the first little tab on the way down, and there's more. There's 1, 2, 3. Anyways, every car is gonna be different, but that's just this vehicle. That's the way it's done. So I'm gonna be using this tab as a point of reference because I know on that side everything was smashed inward. So this whole this surface got pushed in probably by, oh, I don't know, ½ inch or so. But you don't know, you cannot tell visually how far in it is. The only way to tell is you have to use gauge, or you have to use some sort of a measurement device. I mean, you can use a measuring tape, but it's when you have things in a way, if you don't have a straight shot, like you kind of do have a straight shot here, but still, you know, I already have the gauge out, so I made it, and it's pretty universal deal, so it could be used in many different instances. So I just use it every time. So got the measuring rod in the hole on the other side, and over here I'm just gonna hit that edge, that upper tab that I showed you. Okay, so let's see. Boom. See that? I'm hitting that tab, so I know that my measurement is correct from that measuring point to this edge. So now we take this setup and we go on the other side. Put it in the hole there, and then here, boom, we're hitting that tab. And that's what you want. You want to be as close as possible. So, and anyways, and you can take the measurements to the upper tab, and then you can check the lower tab, and then you can even take measurements, you know, from the upper tab. You can measure out 2 inches down with measuring tape, and then you can set your gauge on the good side to see where you're supposed to be, and then go to the bedside and see where you're at, and then you can kind of, you know, work accordingly, and then that way you know what needs to be pulled out, or you can, if there's just a, you know, if there's not very much that metal is moved, you can just bang it out with a hammer. But I mean, you cannot have like a small little dingy hammer. You gotta have something bigger. A lot of times something like this, you know, this is just this thing broke a few years ago, so I'm just using it as a hammer. I ended up using a clamp because everything was in, oh, I don't know, 1/2 inch, maybe it was more, I don't remember. But here, I'll show you, one sec. I use this clamp. The good thing about this clamp is you can pull stuff, so you grab onto metal here, and then you can pull this way, but you can also pull this way. That's what I did. Put this clamp on here like so, tighten it down, not by hand obviously, but you got to use a couple of wrenches. Get this thing on there very nice and secure. Then I'll show you what I did. Yeah, well, it's loose on, so whatever. What I did was I used my truck. This thing weighs 5,500 pounds, so I know it wasn't going to go anywhere. So used one of these semi-truck tie downs, put it around the wheel, and then I used a come along. This deal right here. This is a 3-ton, but it doesn't have to be a 3-ton. You could use a 1.5 tons or 3/4 ton. I'm not sure how well the 3/4 ton will do it, but anyways, I used that. Attach one end of it to the wheel, and I used the other end of it, the hook, onto this clamp. Put some tension on, and then I was able to help it the rest of the way with a hammer. And yeah, I'm right back out where I'm supposed to be. All of this was pushed in, so I'm planning on cutting out this part of a quarter panel from here to there. I picked this piece up at the local raking yard for $35. I ended up drilling it out. So basically, I'll be showing you how to paste that piece of metal into this car, because there's too much damage in this area. And I mean, if I wanted to real bad, yeah, I could have fixed it, but I mean, it's going to be way too time consuming. So you have to have the metal out as far as you can, because if the metal is all pushed in and then you're trying to put the new piece in, you're going to have some serious issues aligning the metal, because you got upper sheet of metal which is thin, but underneath you have reinforcements. So I'll show you. You see these holes? The back of the quarter panel piece was attached to this piece right here. That. And this is made out of much stronger steel, much thicker metal. And this is more of a, it's a structural piece, and it goes right in there. right in there, right below the top metal, and then this hole is going to line up with that hole. I have this piece just in case if the reinforcement under the skin is damaged. I grabbed it just in case. It wasn't any extra. It kind of came with the quarter panel that I bought, or the piece. Another tool that I used, so the way this guy works is you slide it. Well, you have to kind of have the wheels off for this, but here, put it in. So if your arch is pushed in, whether it's here or anywhere here, and you first have to pull it out because there's a metal underneath of this metal, and that's the metal that the new sheet metal is going to be welded onto. So you want it to be as close as possible to its original location. So if stuff is pushed in, this is another thing you can use to pull. Once again, grab it right here and yank on it. It's easier if you start a little pilot hole. That way it'll kind of keep your drill bit on track and it won't walk on you as much. So hope you can see all the spot welds. Yeah, you can. Put the drill bit right in the center. Just a divot is fine. It doesn't have to be all the way through. Switching. So now, put the point, the tip, the very center, to the hole. And the thing is, you don't have to go all the way through. You just have to go through the top sheet. And it may not seem that you've gone too far, but I'll show you how to check. Oh, see? I just popped through, and actually, once I got through the top layer, I pushed the secondary layer out. See? It separated it. And there's no hole in the back. See, that's what you want, because you're going to be welding the new top layer to the substrate, and you don't want a through hole because you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get all your welding done. So we'll just continue. Here. This line, this is where I cut the new piece of metal that I'll be pasting in. I cut it at the wrecking yard up until this point. So you don't ever want to go right at that seam, because I'll show you later. We're going to overlay them, and I'll show you how to overlay it where it's dead on, where it's supposed to be. And then we're going to make one cut through the new piece of metal and the original. And that one cut is actually gonna give us probably 30 seconds of an inch gap, and that's where we're gonna be welding. So, and same here, this upper line, this is where my junkyard piece will end, and I think I'm gonna make my joint right about here, right below it. The reason I chose this area is because I have a body line running right here, and it ends right about here, and I don't want to really do anything with that body line as far as shaping it later. I mean, it's almost flat, but I mean, the metal, you can't even really see it right in that spot. You can kind of see it's still right in this area, but I'm gonna make my cut right below that line, so this area is gonna be totally flat, so it's gonna be much easier for me to make this transition later on. Some kind of adhesive that runs along the seam. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill this guy out and just put that piece in. Okay. Time to weld. This is the welder that I use. I bought it at Harbor Freight. This is their professional line. Once again, you guys don't have to get, you know, some higher dollar welder. You can just get away with a cheapy, you know, $150 welder to do jobs like these. Because, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot to be able to weld sheet metal. This welder is suitable for more, you know, for more of a kind of a do-it-all type of thing, from sheet metal all the way to some thicker stuff. Plus it can do arc welding and TIG welding, but I'm not going to get into that now. What I am going to say is though, so right now this is an easier type of repair that could be done, you know, with really simple tools. However, in the future, I'm going to build a portable frame rack that I'll be able to break down probably within 5 or 10 minutes into smaller pieces that I can put away, and I'll be using this machine to build that thing. So you won't be able to use a $150 welder to achieve that, because well, I would be welding much thicker metal, so that's where this machine would come in. Anyway, so this is what I'm using. If anyone's interested, this thing's awesome. I got it when it was on sale. I paid around $800 for it. at Harbor Freight. They got like a 1-year return on it, no questions asked. So if you do have a repair like this and you don't have a welder and you want to go out and buy a welder like this, sure, you can grab it, use it, take it back after all your repairs are done. I mean, it's an option, you know. What you're gonna say, oh, how come you're not using a welding mask? Well, I position the gun where I want the weld to be. I close my eyes, pull the trigger, and just kind of, you know, I get it to where it's supposed to be. And trust me, yeah, I don't look at the flash, and yeah, my eyes are just fine. So next step is trying on the new piece. And here's the reason why I kept this piece as long as I did. Let's see it. See that? So I'm going to offset it. Now it's offset. You can see that bottom, that hole in the bottom metal is offset. So I gotta line it up to where it's perfect, like right here. Now, where it is, I'm just gonna clamp it down. Sorry, it's hard to do it with one hand. So, all right. We got a little bit of overlap right here, which is okay, because there's gonna go, that won't be there because we got extra metal in a way. So once it's cut out, the bottom piece is cut out, then the top piece is gonna be exactly where that hole is, and that's where we want it. And so I kind of put tape here and here, right where I want my cut to be, and yeah, so I'm just gonna get ready and I'm gonna start cutting. This is off. I gotta do a little more cutting on the underside, but at least I got it marked where my cut is. So I just gotta finish these little cuts, and then I know exactly where my cut's supposed to be because I got 2 lines here and then no cut here. But once I connect the 2 lines, I mean, obviously it's gonna draw a straight line. Now, I'm gonna save this piece. I'm actually gonna cut off a section of maybe about 1 inch or so, all the way down. I'm gonna use that as a backing plate. I'm gonna slide it under this piece here and tack to it. So this way, when the new piece goes on, and I have a gap, which is maybe 3/16, if you just try to fill the gap with welding wire, I mean, it works, but over time, that weld can crack. However, if you got a backing plate, it'll never crack. Okay, so this piece is also coming off. And same thing, we're gonna save about 1 inch or so of this, and we're gonna make a backing plate out of it. let's see how the new piece will fit in there. Hey, baby.
Hi.
Okay, so
Hey.
we are kind of right where we're supposed to be.
Daddy.
Just, yeah, I gotta make the decking plates and go to town. Fits well. So no paint. We're just tacking it in. We're not doing a full-on weld. Boom, right there. Just tack it in place. Just make sure that both panels are tight. Okay, now it's gonna hold for sure. Oh yeah. So I gotta apologize. I kinda got a cut in this video. Reason being is, as of right now, this car is my daily driver, and last bit that you saw, I finished up the other day, and well, day was coming to a close, and I still had some things I had to do besides fixing the car, so I didn't show you guys how I got the piece in. But long story short, if you look in the down in that gap, you see there's a piece of metal. That's our backing plate. There's one there, one there. I just tacked them in, and then this piece of quarter panel slash rocker panel was already pre-cut, so I just put that in, lined it up, made sure that everything looked good, and pretty much used vice grips to pinch the substrate metal and then the new metal together, so this way it wouldn't move. And then I literally just tacked it in a few places just so this piece would not fly off while I'm driving to work. So anyways, that's where it's at. So you didn't really miss a whole lot. At this point, I just gotta get this thing welded in. So this is it for part 1 of this video. Part 2 is gonna get pushed out here in no time. So if you guys like the content, please like and subscribe and hit that bell notification to be notified when it does come in. Thanks again for watching.